we are? Okay. Hey, y'all. Oh, wait, I got to hit Instagram. Okay. So, hello, everybody. I'm so excited that we are here today. Today is a very special day. I'm absolutely just thrilled to be talking to you from my living room here in Las Vegas about Feminine and Rich, which is a new brand that I'm launching. Today, we're actually sitting here having an amazing brunch, but also having a candid conversation with some friends of mine who are men and women, and we want to talk about what does it mean to be feminine and rich in a modern world. Also, you can follow Feminine and Rich on TikTok as we grow that platform. This is a personal development brand, and honestly, where it came from is people are consistently asking me over the past probably 7, 8 years since I've been a business coach online about personal things. They've been asking about personal, how do you do this? How do you keep your mindset together? How do you keep your emotions regulated? How do you date? How do you do those things? Hey, Kimberly, nice to see you, girl. So while my friends are revving up and sharing with their friends, I just want to make sure that you post in the chat where it is that you're viewing from. This is a really special occasion. I want to go ahead and thank a couple of people before we get started. First of all, thanks to Jess, who is our operator in the background. She has done all things Feminine and Rich. Also, thanks to our producer who's behind the scenes directing everything. That is Scott with Level 9 Studios here in Las Vegas. And we're about to get this party started. So first, I want to introduce to you Kelly over here. And Kelly in orange, she is lives here in Las Vegas. She's a friend and a client. And Kelly, tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Kelly Franklin, the CEO BFF, and I implement operations and systems for women who want to scale their six-figure businesses.
Yes, thank you. Mary Grace.
Hello, I'm Mary Grace Iniguez. I am a marketing and visibility strategist helping business owners get connected to make impact and make more money.
Love it. Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine Rucker. I'm the arm coach, and I liberate women from long sleeves. I help women transform their arms.
Yes.
I do, right? And gain more confidence in their appearance.
I love that so much.
Thank you. I am Keith Stark. I'm a marriage and family therapist intern, and I help men, children, and families to find strength in mental health.
I love that so much. Thank you so much. So these are our amazing panelists who are here. Hello, Sandaria. Come on from Orlando, Florida. I see you, Orlando, Virginia. So first of all, I want to talk about what does it mean when I first called you and was like, hey, can you come to my house? Well, I didn't call you, just sent the email. When she said, be a part of the Feminine and Rich dialogue, like, first, and I'll go to Christine here in green, when you heard feminine and rich, like what did you think initially?
Well, first off, I knew I was a yes. Anything that you do, I'm all in. But feminine and rich to me was like richness in my life.
Yeah.
How to be more fulfilled in all areas of my life, not just financially.
Yeah.
Right, but emotionally, physically, financially, as well as spiritually, relationship-wise.
Yeah.
So, like all the things, what creates the richness in my life are those elements.
Yeah.
So
That's so good. Keith. So you're the Lone Ranger here, okay? Keith, we got Keith in here representing for the men. So y'all make sure y'all show Keith some love in the comments. And listen, the reason why he's here is because I don't ever want people to think in my brand, because I am so female-centric, that we're excluding men from conversations that are important. Some conversations we don't need men in the room, but there are many conversations where we need their input, we need their energy. And so Keith, when you received the notification about this, what were your thoughts on what is feminine and rich?
Well, initially I thought it was a mistake. Right? I thought that it was something that, I said, well, I know that we were connecting, but I didn't know that it was going to be this event. But then, oftentimes I'm invited to female programs and things and sit on panels. And what I got out of it was that just what you said, you wanted a male point of view.
Yes.
On the topic, and so I jumped on it.
Yes, 100%. And I appreciate that so much because Keith is a therapist, so you get to see people in different in different forms in a
Yeah.
very vulnerable place. And you get to see breakdowns in, relationship dynamics and all of that. And so I think that you're going to add a really valuable piece to this dialogue today.
Thank you.
And then, Kelly, what were your thoughts when I said feminine and rich? Like, what does that mean? What first sparked in your head?
Well, first I thought, hell yeah, that's me. But like what Christine said, the rich part, because like feminine, okay, that's me all day. I'm gentle and strong. I embody all of that. But it's the rich part that I think people attach always to finances, and it's really for me about plenty. Like I am rich in every area of my
Yes.
life. It's plentiful in every area of my life. That's what I was like, yeah.
That's so good. Miss Mary Grace.
First, of course, I was honored, but it just came in the right time. For me, I always believe in divine timing. I'm going through changes in my life, and feminine and rich to me is embodying who I am as a woman, from young to teenager to who I am today as a mother and a wife, but also just, as you said, being plentiful in all areas of my life and being happy.
Yeah.
Because happiness and success is different for everybody.
It is different for everybody. Thank you so much for that. When I first was thinking about this, to be honest, like I've been living a feminine and rich life behind the scenes for a very long time, but I wasn't trying to do this, right? I was just living my life, improving myself, going to therapy, doing all sorts of shit to feel better about things I had experienced in my past. I was very much in a place of hey, Instagram, how can I enrich my life, right? How can I not operate from a place of trauma, even though I had been traumatized? How can I also be financially astute? How can I also love the skin I'm in, right? And so I became a project for myself. And this dialogue today is about women understanding that being successful is not a flex if you're not happy and whole. And if you have areas of breakdown in your life, you having a Louis bag and being able to go on a vacation doesn't mean shit. And that there is so much more depth that we're able to connect with, and feeling better and being happy and being a light, really, than just the financial success. And even though those things are also important, and also it's the internal riches that we're really wanting to go for. So first question I want to ask, and feel free, if you're watching on Facebook, especially because we're really streaming this. Let me show the people on Instagram real quick. This is what's happening. Y'all can't see it, but this is what's going on in here. This is what's going on. Y'all need to really go on Facebook, okay? Hey, Jess, can you hop on my Instagram and type my Facebook handle in there? Just go to April Franks. Just type my name in and then go, and then you can watch it live there. It's better because you get the whole, Shazam. We just didn't want to leave y'all out. So I want to know from Keith first. For me, when I was growing up, like the word feminine was never used. Being feminine, the only words were used were like, you better take care of this family. You better be able to support yourself. You better be able to take care of kids. It was never about, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Who are you? It was like, suck it up. It's like, oh shit, I better suck it up. Right? So you then learn to like repress all these things. And the work that you do in therapy, like, is this a thing? Do you see where women are grappling with just, yeah.
So yes, to answer the question first, I believe that there are a lot of women who still believe, who operate in this place where feminine means to take care of my family. Feminine means to not take care of myself, to sacrifice everything that I am and everything that I do for my family, and I come after that, right? I can't focus on my goals. I can't take care of myself. I can't get my nails done. I can't get my hair done. I can't go after my career because my husband's career comes first. And when it comes to me being feminine, it's only to please my husband and family.
Oh, wow. What? Anyone want to comment to just speak to that?
I will. I can comment on that because I felt that way for so many years, right? Like it was almost ingrained in me that my role was to be as a support, right? Not to necessarily honor my own desires,
Yeah.
right? And so so it's been a journey, right? To learn how to embrace my feminine qualities and to use them to be to honor like my worth, right? Because when you are coming from a place of support and service, sometimes we don't feel worthy of that ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's good.
So that was something I really had to learn and accept and
That's good. Mary Grace, what are your thoughts?
So
And then I also, hold on, before you go, I want to also speak culturally, right? Because I think there's this element. I'm a black woman. I don't know if y'all knew, but you know, I think, I want to know, because I did not ask them this before we got on. I want to know culturally, is it a conversation? Like for me, it definitely was not a conversation. And it really wasn't until I was so fed up with doing all the things, being strong, being independent, that I was like, fuck, who am I without all of this? Like, I just want to breathe. And discovering April has been, a mission. And so I want to know, even as you all are speaking, just culturally, has that come up? And is it a thing?
yes. So I'm Filipino American, and I always joke with females all around me. I'm like, we are bred and taught how to wash laundry and take care of the home. I just joke around about it. But I think through me growing up and my mom wanting me to make sure that I was an independent woman, that I was strong, that I could take care of the family, that I knew how to cook, to take care of my husband, but also on the other end of being a strong, independent woman, as I was growing up, I was fucking confused. Because then it was like, oh, I got to take care of everybody, but I also have to get a career and I got to do all the things, until I was able to, find different mentors or have these kind of discussions with other women in different walks of life, and realize that, oh, I need to now embody myself. Yes, I can still take care of my family, but I still can go after my dreams.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
So I think that's the experience I had. It was like clashing all the time.
Wow.
I would actually get panic attacks and get really sick because I was doing too much.
Wow.
Thinking I had to do all these things.
That's so good. Thank you for being that transparent. And I think a lot of women feel that. I mean, I think when you speak about even our bodies, I was in my 30s and had a hysterectomy. That shouldn't be happening. Trying to be the Tasmanian devil, superwoman. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. There's nothing wrong with being a strong woman. We're saying both and. We're saying you don't have to be one or the other, that you can be both, and that both of those energies can coexist. And so that there's a healthy balance between the two. Kelly, what about you? What's been, was that brought up for you? Because I think you're naturally feminine, but I don't know. What.
And I'm actually not naturally.
And
feminine.
she's actually not.
I'm actually, well, I shouldn't say that. I am now. I came into it. No, feminine was not anything that was spoken about in our home or anything like that. And my parents, specifically my father, was hell-bent on me being a strong, independent black woman. And so I was taught a lot of male things to make sure I didn't have to depend on anybody, that I didn't rely on that. And that's how I operated, right? In that masculine, very masculine energy. It's only really been in the last, 10 years maybe, that I really started
Do you mind sharing your age?
I'm 50.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 50
Okay, come
now.
on, 50. What's going on with this? Listen.
I am 50, yes, and this is 50.
Yes.
Feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel it, and I feel all of it now, but it wasn't always that way.
I have a follow-up question for Kelly. So you said it's been a journey for you for 10 years. What was the break? When did you know you're like, oh, I'm this isn't even me. This has conditioned me. There's a woman inside of these behaviors.
I really was starting to suppress things, like my feelings, my sexual feelings, just me, I don't want to have to know about the car, and I don't want to have to know about all of the typical masculine things. So it was about 10 years, to be honest. I was in a relationship, um, and that particular person kind of helped me see that. Hey, why don't you dress a little more sexier? Hey, you got a nice figure. Why don't you do that? And that opened the door, although that was very physical. Sure. That kind of opened the door to exploring other things. It's like, wait, yeah, I am a whole other feminine being, and I don't have to take care of everybody. I can take care of myself, and I can feel the things that I feel. Like, it wasn't a good thing in my family to even have emotion.
Wow.
I just started exploring that.
Yeah.
In the last maybe 3 years that I can express my emotions.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women, I think a lot of humans deal with that, but I think women have this side life in their head that they wish that they could be living, that they wish that they could say this or experience that or be this. And there's so many things that go on in our minds. And for me, especially, and this is when I knew for me that this feminine conversation was real. And it was when I was married. So I got married in 2010. I was married for 8 years, together for 10. And I remember one day saying to my ex-husband, "Hey, Jesse, how you doing?" I remember saying, "I just want to be a girl." We were in our bedroom, and I literally said that to him. I literally said to him, "I just want to be a girl." And he looked at me and he was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "I don't even know. But what I do know is I'm exhausted. And no one can get the best of me if I'm feeling like this." I'm like, there's things in me that I want to express. I want to be more vulnerable, but I feel like I can't. I want to love you better, but I don't know how. Like, I'm just going through all these things of, single mama, taking care of this, being the strong friend. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And I used to say to my friends, get over it. Like, process your feelings later. That is horrible advice. Okay, that is horrible advice. And I think that that's really common in a lot of these dialogues. I want to bounce to Christine. Christine, for you, was that conversation of feminine, because you said, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, where do you believe that comes from? So in your culture, like, where do you believe that comes from, where it's like, don't worry about your feelings and this and that, just make sure you're able to do these things?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just family background. I grew up in a farming community where it was like, you were tough, right? Like, there was no time for feelings, right? There was work that needed to be done, and you just get the work done.
Yeah.
And also I just, maybe my religion, I grew up Catholic, and it was about, being subservient a little bit, and be the good girl, don't upset anything, so I think that was a lot of it for me too, and just wanting to please others, right? And feeling like that's how I got my worth. And I want to speak too to that hustle energy that you were talking about. I notice that when I'm in hustle energy, it's usually from a place of trying to prove my worth, right? And so knowing that now, I can kind of remind myself that I am enough exactly as I am, just in my feminine qualities, just in my womanhood, and it really kind of slows me down a little bit, so that I can be present and more productive and more nurturing.
That's so good.
Yeah,
that's so good. I think one of the other things I wanted to bring up was, for me, one of the things that and also we do want to take questions from the audience. We see your comments. There's lots of them on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook tuning in, you should be. Jess, I don't know if you were able to pop in the little thingy, the comment, but if you pop up a new one on where they can go on Facebook, then I can pin it on my Instagram. I think one of the things that also solidified it for me, to Christine's point, was after I divorced my ex-husband and we got a divorce, I'll get into another relationship, and I said the same thing. I found myself after like 2 years telling him the same thing, and it literally was a whole fucking light bulb. I was like, whoa, I'm asking men to give me
Yeah.
permission. I'm like, hello, is it okay for me to be? Or do you need me to be this other thing that I've presented? Because this is the only version of me that I've known. But inside our minds, we're like, let me tell y'all something about women. We're fucking superhumans.
Amen.
The shit that goes on in our head about, I might cry my eyelashes off by the end of this. The things that go on in your head about what you need to do, who you need to be, and where you can be, which version of that is mental gymnastics.
Yes.
On a daily basis. So when I said it to the second man, I was like, why am I asking for that?
Mm-hmm.
And that sent me on a journey over the last 4 years. And many of you all have been following me for a long time. You've seen that transformation of really finding and rediscovering like who I am as a woman. And yes, I can be strong. I can pay my own bills. I don't want to. So if anybody's out there, it's a lot of them. But I can't take care of myself. But that's not the flex. Like, I'm a girl. I'm a whole girl. I'm like super girly. I cry all the time I'm the lovey friend. I'm always touching people. Like, I am her. But it took me not knowing that and being afraid of and someone saying to me, because there was a man that said to me, he was like, you don't know how to receive. And I was like, how dare you tell me that? Of course I do. Meanwhile, rejecting his, So Keith, I want to ask you, and this is your viewpoint, right? You're not speaking for all men. I'm not speaking for all women. And also in your experience as a therapist and as a man, and as a black man in our community, where do you feel this conversation? Because there's a lot of internet talk about masculine, feminine, what men are supposed to be doing, what women are supposed to be doing. Like, what are your thoughts?
It's a very good question. Culturally, I think I'm going to answer the question culturally. We've been conditioned to oppose feminine with masculine. And they're not the opposites. They're two individual things within their own space that they're supposed to work together simultaneously.
100%.
And they don't. And so the lack thereof, definitely in the African American community, the lack of masculinity, which encouraged the lack of femininity.
Yeah.
When you think of, the black grandmom, right? The big mama.
Yeah.
Which she no longer exists. But she was a strong woman who took care of not just her children,
right,
but her children's children, people in the neighborhood. And Grandpop went to work, and he went up to that little room upstairs, and we hadn't seen him. We don't see him at all. Grandmom is cooking for everybody. She's pulling money out of her She's pulling money out of her feminine purse, right?
I have her boobs.
Yeah.
It's the titty money.
And so we've been conditioned to be that's what feminine looks like. And I think we're moving to a space now where, unfortunately, Big Mama is no longer around. You don't have grandmothers like that anymore. And women are moving into a more feminine space, which is amazing. Feminine based on herself, as she defines it, not based on how society finds it.
Yeah.
And so it's really good because now you'll see this switch, I believe, where young ladies will grow up to be more feminine than ever before and embrace their femininity.
Yeah.
So,
and let me just tell y'all something too. Like, this is not a right or wrong dialogue. This is I have masculine traits and I have feminine traits. Yeah. And I choose to lead with my feminine traits because it's who I am. And masculine, feminine energy is a whole different conversation we won't get into. And for those of you that will be joining us inside of Feminine and Rich, our membership, which I'm not launching today, but for those of you who will join, we can talk about that more, 100%. But to your point, the tango of those things are not supposed to be in contrast. It's a dance that's happening. And masculine and feminine is not assigned to male and female either. Those are two different energies. Again, we can get into later. Listen, I've been drinking a mimosa, so if I burp on this thing, we just had brunch. It's been a whole situation over here. So if I Yeah. So also I want to talk about the commercialization, which you kind of brought up a little bit, because there is a lot of commercialization that says feminine is girly clothes and you got to look this way and you got to talk soft and you got to blah, 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 blah. And for me, feminine is simply having more compassion when I'm speaking to people, when I'm making decisions. It's also me feeling into decisions as opposed to being a reactive human, which I was before. It is before I respond, where I used to be very reactionary, I am processing what's being said to me and then responding through a lens of being compassionate. And I feel like that's everything. So just that patience where you can actually feel, because feeling is something that we hadn't been doing. We've just been going, I kind of want to share, if you all can share, like, what's your current family makeup? Like, married, single, do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? Like, what does that make up? So for me, I'm 46. I have 2 daughters who are 25 and 28, and I have a 4-year-old granddaughter. And I was raised all over the country, all over the world, really, Army brat. So that was kind of my upbringing, Kelly. And I just want to give context because people like to make assumptions. Oh, well, you must be this or you must. It's like, no. Let's just be clear on the dynamic here.
Yep. 50 years old with a partner. Together we have 5 of 4 boys and 1 girl.
Adults?
2 teenagers and the 3 adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. No grandkids.
No grandkids, and thank you.
Not yet.
Mary Grace.
I'm 36. My husband and I are high school sweethearts. We were
Aw.
actually teen parents. So I had a baby when I was 16. Our son is 20 years old. And I think that's all right.
Okay. Love that. I love that. Christine?
I am 54 years old.
Whoop, whoop.
I-
Just had a birthday. This is her birthday weekend in Vegas, just so we're clear.
Yeah. So I'm remarried, and I have 2 children. My husband has 2 children, and between us, we have 4 granddaughters.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Keith?
I'm 51. No, I don't look it, right?
No.
Anyway. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had
Every
to-
bit of 41.
Yeah. So, thank you. I'm gonna hold on to that. When I shave my face, I look younger. No, I'm 51, 52 in April. I am married with 2 children, ages 18 and 24 in a week.
Wow. Nice. I love that. I want to take some questions from the audience. So for those of you, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, if you have questions or something that you want to contribute, I do want to read a couple of the comments. So we may need to scroll up. I see that there's lots of them. But I just want to share like some of the things that people have been saying. Courtney said, one of my friends from college came back into my world about 2 years. She reminded me of who I was before motherhood. It helped me so much because I lost myself inside of motherhood and working. If you can relate to that, definitely. I mean, can we leave her comment up, please? I think that that's really an important point to make because I think let me say this because I know somebody gonna come for me, which is fine. I'm prepared. And I said this the other day, and it's not true, but I'm gonna say it because it's funny. But I was like, motherhood is such a scam. I said, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't anyone tell me that this was gonna happen to me for my whole life? But I love being a mother, especially to adult children. It's fun. But then also, it doesn't matter what anyone tells you about raising children. It's almost inevitable that you lose yourself trying to make sure. Because I think that motherhood that you spend, and fatherhood, you spend your whole life making sure they don't kill themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, don't put your hand in the socket. Don't touch the stove. Don't run into the street. Don't fall off the thing. Don't talk to strangers. Like, you just spend your whole life in fear that this person is going to run into the, traffic. Can the moms here, either of you, just speak to Courtney's comment? Whoever wants to take that.
I would love to speak on this. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
My husband and I are recent empty nesters. And I was sharing with everybody here that I felt when my son shared that he was moving out and he actually moved out, I lost some kind of my identity.
Yes.
And for the first week, I was telling Christine, I was crying at restaurants, like randomly.
Girl, me too, girl. I was too. I was a
like, what
whole
is
mess
going
when my daughter
on?
left.
What is going on? Like a piece of my life left me. And even now, I still feel a piece of that identity has walked out the door. And then I had to realize, no, this is my time. We just recently moved, and it's like we're making decisions for us.
Yeah.
Before it was like the education and making sure he could get to his activities.
Yeah.
So it's coming back to who we are, and I think we don't need to wait until we're empty nesters.
Yeah.
We should be doing it while we are raising our children.
The reason why I love this comment from Courtney is because I can relate, Mary Grace. When my daughter left, I was a single mom for a long time. My daughter is now 28, but when she left to basic training for the Air Force, I literally would go in her room and just cry because I looked at my husband. I was like, oh shit, do I even like you? Honestly, because so much of our time is spent with the kids, you don't really even have to like the man to love the man to be in the house. You literally can just raise the kids because they are so consuming. You're just like going just in a hamster wheel. And when my daughter left, I would go in the room and my husband, he would be like, what are you doing? I was like crying. And it was really, I was like, wow. And I had to say to myself, wow, I really just didn't know, And then I started trying to identify things for myself that made me feel good. And now my daughter, who's 28, she can't live more than 10 minutes away from me. So there's that.
Yeah,
Christine.
Right? Exactly. They come back.
Right.
They come back. Like it or not. But yeah, I think, in motherhood, you spent so much time nurturing those children that when they left, I didn't know how to nurture myself. And I didn't even really know how to take care of myself because my life was about taking care of them. So so that was something new that I had to learn. And it's just crazy when you don't nurture yourself and you don't meet your own needs. It's very hard to be good at nurturing and meeting other people's needs. And I think that's why as women we tend to feel burnt out, resentful, bitter, all
with
the
a
things.
smile on our face and dinner on the table.
Exactly.
With a smile on our face and dinner on the table.
And we get so good at just shoving it all down and presenting. I know I was raised that way, to put on, fake it till you make it, right? Like put on a happy face. You don't need to bring people down with your energy or whatever. And instead of just knowing that everyone has these emotions. And that's why we need to have these kinds of conversations and normalize, right? The feelings that we're having, and there's nothing's gone
and
wrong.
no shaming.
There is no shame.
Yeah.
And the more that we shove it down, the more the shame builds.
100%.
And so you have,
100%. Kelly.
It's gonna come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It'll come up.
Yeah. Kelly.
I had a slightly different experience when my daughter was she was 16, got the car, so she started doing things on her own and things like that. And then I was like, yes! I was so excited. I was so excited about it because I had spent my entire adulthood, after college or whatever, I had spent all of that time caring for others. I got married at a young age. My first marriage, I was 23. My whole existence was caring for other people. And so I was just relieved not to have to nurture, care for, do anything for anybody else. And so that journey started as she was 16. She's 19 now. Everybody's like, oh, weren't you sad when she went to college? And I was like, nope. I was...
Type a 1 in the chat if you're not sad.
I wasn't. I'm being real about that. I'm just being real, y'all. If y'all be real with me, I'm just being real. I was excited to be able to get my life back. And that's the way I saw it, getting my life back so I could do me, so I could do the things that I knew I really enjoyed, but I couldn't do because I felt like I was kind of locked in.
Yeah. And I think people are ashamed. Thank you for that comment, Courtney. Let's go to another comment. I think people, and I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I think these are the conversations that people have when people aren't around. Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's stop pretending that we ain't all tired of something. You know what I'm saying? And so I really appreciate the transparency of my friends here. Let's see. What did Kimberly say? Right there it says, Kimberly said, yes, it's like you have to reinvent yourself and or figure out who you are singularly, 100%. Eunice says, coming back to who you are. Scroll up, please, Scott. Just trying to make sure. Wanda said 50 is a new flex. Latasha said, back to that mental gymnastics. She said it can be draining, the mental gymnastics. If you have, can you scroll back to all the new comments? If we have any questions, that'd be great. Coach Kathleen says it's multifaceted. It is a relief. So I think you learn that, because what I want to get to is like, how do we not have that? Because I hear so many of this dialogue where either you're relieved or you're sad. But it's all for the same fucking reason. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like, it's for the same reason. Either you're relieved or you're sad because now you know what to do with yourself, but it's still around that same piece. What do you think that, because I want to talk about the commercialization about what is feminine supposed to look like. I see a lot of stuff on TikTok, and I mean, it's sickening. I just be wanting to vomit about women teaching women what feminine is and what it's supposed to look like. And, you know, if you do this or say this, and that's not femininity. And one of the things that's important to me from a value standpoint is exploration and exploring. And so one of the feminine and rich values is exploration. When you hear exploration, this is kind of what this journey is about. Like, can you just speak to what exploration has looked like for you individually? And anyone can take this question.
For me, it's just getting curious with myself, like and asking myself the questions, like, what is it that I truly desire, right? I don't know, like, for the longest time, I never asked myself that. I was asking other people what they wanted or what they needed. And to finally start asking myself, like, what is it that you really want? What is it that you really desire? And how can I learn to give that to myself? Yeah. Whether it's asking for help, yes, or you know, just seeking support in that, and really opening up to being vulnerable in that, you know, I need some assistance, mm-hmm, or some guidance, mm-hmm, or something, yeah, right? That's good. So just asking myself the questions of what is it that I really desire for myself.
I love that. Keith?
I'm going to tell you all women what femininity is. No, that's a joke. I don't want nobody
we know
inboxing me, you know. I don't want no death threats, you know. No, I think it's when I hear the word femininity or masculinity, right? Yeah. Either one, it's what you define it as, right? I was listening to a gentleman on Facebook, and he said, how do you define what a man is, right? And that's what he was talking about, but I'm going to make it relate. And he said, he was on a Breakfast Club, and he said, you can't. So often people are trying to define what a man is or what a real man is, but you can't define it. It's for the person themselves to define what it is for them. And I believe that's the same thing for femininity. When you talk about exploration, it's exploring what it is to you and what it is for you. Yeah. And when you say exploration, exploring, it's about that research. Yeah. What is it that you want from within your feminine self or masculine self? Yeah. And whatever that answer is, that's the definition for you.
I was going to say, I think it's interesting you asked that, because explore is actually my word for 2023. And I am very intent. I'm going to be attentive and intentional about my exploration and what that means for just who I am. Masculine, feminine, whatever it is, like who I am. Researching. I like when Keith said researching, because that's kind of what exploration is. Okay, let me try this. Let me figure out what's in the background. Let me try it and see if it works. Might not work for me, right? I don't know. Just kind of being open to new things. Yes. And see if I like it. Maybe I don't like it.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Jessica was saying earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right? Mary Grace?
I think it's the same. It's figuring out what you want, but also being in groups like this where we're talking about it allows, for me personally, to explore exactly what's out there.
Yeah.
And also to not be afraid to try. Because I think with business and personal life, you think you have to have some kind of strategy.
Yeah.
It's kind of some kind of 1, 2, 3. You get to the goal.
Well, hold on.
I know.
We're all about strategy.
Don't
like
get
us.
what she's saying twisted.
Yeah.
We like some strategy.
I'm gonna sell you a strategy.
Yeah. We like a
Not,
strategy.
not in feminine and rich. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not, but
But even with that, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to try your strategy.
Yeah.
Does it work for you?
Yeah.
Try his strategy. Does
Yes,
it work?
100%.
And not be afraid to, at the end, if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work.
yes, yes,
okay.
and that's okay. And not taking things that you're exploring as failures. One of the things, I was in a relationship with this guy, and when we traveled a whole lot, and sometimes traveling is a debacle, and sometimes my whole life sometimes is a whole reality show. And instead of getting stressed out, he and I decided that when things were up in the air, we would just say it's an adventure. And wrapping the word adventure around shit just feels so much better than something went wrong. Just the feeling of even in your exploration, just being adventurous just felt good. I'm like, oh, well, that was an adventure. You know, you had some airports you get off and you take an Uber and you got to walk, a whole fucking marathon just to get to the pickup spot. You could be annoyed, or it was an adventure.
Yeah.
And I think just having that lightheartedness and not so boxed in that everything has to be just so. It's like the flowing, it feels so much better than being rigid. One of our other values inside of Feminine and Rich is fulfillment and being fulfilled. And I think that that's how you get to fulfillment. But I do want to talk about money because, feminine and rich, and I know a lot of people are going to make that association, but without, feminine and rich is about having an enriched life in every area: sex, relationships, your mindset, your body, all of it. So for a minute, I want to talk about money. And when you think about riches and what comes up for you when you hear that? And anyone can take this question.
Well, I'll jump in.
Okay.
So I'm learning, and I'm choosing to believe, and it seems to be true for me, that the more that I own my worth in every aspect of my life, the financial riches come. I lean into
Yes, come on, Christine.
Honestly, like I know that I'm a nurturer, and I think that comes from, like I said, it used to be people pleasing and supporting others, and I feel like it is one of my superpowers. And when I lean into nurturing people and helping them achieve their goals and grow, like the financial rewards come back to me.
Yes.
Right? And it comes from me embracing my feminine superpower of being a nurturer.
Yeah.
So
I
I
love
think
that.
it just naturally comes when you
Yeah.
embrace and own who you are.
Yeah, I love
So,
that.
yeah.
Well, I think too, what you're saying is like when you remove the deficit, because it's like people are wanting to be successful, but they're so sad, or they're not addressing their mental health issues, or they hate their relationship, or they, you know what I'm saying? But they're trying to overcompensate in this area instead of really addressing all those other areas. I love that so much. Who wants to take this?
I think
Mary Grace?
also with success is different for everybody. Like for me, riches is obviously taking care of myself, taking care of my family, but it's being able to impact others, being able to give back to others, and being able to help others.
Yeah.
So to me, that's riches. It can financially in that way.
So good.
When I hear financial riches, I'm going to piggyback off of what you said. For me personally, for years, I chased money, right? And it was never enough. I always chased the financials. I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my family. Oh, I can do this. I can do that. I had every career. If you name a career, I probably did it or tried it or thought about it. I was a brain surgeon for 2 weeks. No, I don't. Somebody said you can do a 2-week program and you can be a brain surgeon. But what I didn't realize is follow your passion, follow your purpose. The thing that you're passionate and purpose to do, that you're passionate about and purpose to do, will bring on the riches and the finances. And so I changed, and recently, and I always have to continue to think about this, follow the passion, follow the trail, follow the path in which you're going, and the riches will come. And when we're talking just financially, I'm in a better position today than I've been my whole entire life, because I finally said, I'm going to follow the path.
Yeah, same. I think too, like for me on the financial riches, like I, it's unbelievable to me how aligning yourself and being authentic and transparent, how magnetizing that is. And I feel the same way that Keith does. Like this is the best financial position I've ever been in my life. And I'm able to help so many people, clients, but also my family. My granddaughter has autism, and I send her to a private school for children with autism. Like, I would have never been able to do that, for her to get that type of care. I retired my mother 3 months before my father died from a job she worked at for 25 years. If I wasn't following my heart by helping women and doing what I do as a business coach, I would not have been able to do that. And my mother would have worked every day and missed the last 3 months of my father's life. And they were married for 42 years. And so the financial riches isn't more important than the personal piece. I think exploration of your personal health holistically is a magnet for financial riches. Kelly?
Yeah, actually, I think you just said what I, in a very, I was gonna say in a different way, but because I was piggybacking on what everybody said. If you notice, nobody gave a dollar amount, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I just kind of want everybody to see. Nobody said being rich is I make $1 million or I make 10 million, or like, it was all about what could manifest in their life for them personally. And so that's how it is for me. It's not a dollar amount. It's, yes, I can take care of my family and our bills and our needs without stressing, without worrying about it. And yes, if I need to go travel or want to go travel, I can go do that. If I want to, spend 2 weeks somewhere, because I love to travel, it's those kind of things that enrich. And if I need to or I desire to invest in some additional things to uplift my life, that I can absolutely do that, right? So I can invest in my spiritual health. I can invest in my mental health. I can invest that's rich to me. It's not a dollar amount.
That's so good. I want to I don't know if they had questions on Instagram. Listen, I told y'all on Instagram to get on Facebook. How can you... Living Benefits Well says, how can you work on yourself and be yourself while you have a family? Look, can I just stop here? Just on how sad this is. Just on how sad that is. Can we just listen to that question? How can you work on yourself and be yourself while you have a family? That's just so fucked up. That's the condition. That it really feels like you don't matter. That I am enslaved to this other thing. I think we've since answered that question through this dialogue. But just the fact that I want people to understand that these are the things that women are thinking. They are walking around thinking this type of shit that's happening in their daily life. That I can't even be me because I have to do this. And what we're saying in this brand and in this feeling, this energy, this movement of feminine and rich is it's both. You can be you, because the best you is going to be the best mom. Let me tell you something. As a woman, when I am my most fulfilled and happy, I'm the best fucking lover, the best friend, the best coach, the best everything. When I am at a personal deficit, I ain't no good to nobody. Nobody. So I think it is a requirement that we work on enriching our personal lives so that we can. And also, I think it's worth women and men having this dialogue with their family of expectation. Why are we, and I know it happened with me growing up, but why are we still, or are we still, allowing, like, not teaching even our children boundaries? Like, just because you're a mom or a parent doesn't give you, it's like it gives us this, we don't matter, so you can run all over us and I'm a doormat thing. It's like, no, that shit is killing us. It really is. And it's just not okay. It's just not okay. Lavon said, do any of the moms with adult kids question if they did a good job? Ooh, that's a good question. So I want to answer that. So one of the questions from Instagram says, do any of the mothers with adult children question if they did a good job? Yes. I do not feel like I was the most nurturing mother at all. I was a very masculine mom, and I did the same thing that I felt like my parents did, which was, you got a roof over your head. You got food on the table? I love you. So I was not the most nurturing mother. And me and my daughter had a very tumultuous relationship, literally probably up until, and she's 28, up until 2 years ago. It was from her being a teenager, I would say about 15 to 2 years ago, 10 years. And it wasn't her fault. It was my fault. Because I wasn't operating as myself. I was operating based on the condition, right? And I was trying to make what she was saying wrong, because in our community, and I don't know what it is like for other cultures, but the parents are right, even though the parents be fucking wrong all the time. Because the parents are just big kids with their own trauma and bullshit, and they're just doing the best they can. But just because you think it's the best you can don't mean it's the best. And this is not the shit on anybody that's a mom or on my own mothering, but it is something I had to learn. And I had to apologize and understand how to parent my adult daughter. Who wants to?
Well, I'd like to jump in on that too. Like, you know, my daughter's 28 as well. I have a son who's 25. I still question.
Yeah.
If I'm a good mom.
Yeah.
I still. And I've had to learn to give myself some grace in that I was the best mom to my kids that I knew how to be at that time. Right? Because I didn't have the tools back then that I do now. And so it's all, I literally, I loved my kids. I did the best that I could. And I have to give myself some grace there and just trust, you know, and do the best that I can. Yeah. Yes.
So I'm going to give some contrast to that. Okay. This whole thing of life is an experience for everyone. We all have our individual experiences, and even parenting is an experience. While you were parenting in those occasions in which you had difficult times with your kids or good times with your kids, what you were thinking in that moment was you were doing the best that you can, right? And so we look at life as right and wrong on so many, like, I could have been better, I could have done this, and maybe that's true. But the reality is you have to, if your children are still here, you have time to create different experiences. Yeah. You know, I'm a big football guy, and my Eagles, you know, hopefully will be in the Super Bowl. That has nothing to do with this. Yeah, that has nothing to do with this. Sorry. I was like, I can't mention the Eagles, and it just jumps out. Sorry. It actually threw me off. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is where I was going. It's not about good sports, good football is not about necessarily your game plan in the first and second quarter. It's about the adjustments you make in the second half that creates a winner, right? And so in raising children, it's about the adjustments that you make to change the experience, right? And so that's really, really important. Even when your children are 20, my children are 24 and 18, and I have great relationships with my children. Yeah. However, there are some difficult times that I may have with my son and I that I have to go and make some adjustments as a dad in order to better relate to him and just to have a better relationship with him overall.
Yeah,
So.
I love that. Thank you so much for your transparency. And to what you're saying about making those adjustments in the second half, that's exactly what I had to do. I had to become a better mother, but I could not. I literally had to remove myself from America, go on a whole sabbatical, and to become a better mom. Like, it was destroying my relationship. The masculinity I was holding was destroying the relationship that I was having romantically at the time, and it was destroying the relationship that I was having with my daughter. And I had to recognize that I could not use my upbringing as an excuse as to why my behavior was the behavior. Yes, those things were true. Yes, I was raised in an environment that was hostile and abusive. And yes, also, I'm responsible for my own actions now. And I had to be able to look at my own shit and do the work. And that's what, part of this journey is about. So I appreciate that second half. That's good. Who else wants to speak on that?
I just want to add to what you all said. I had a baby when I was 16. So, of course, I was questioning, did I raise him right? But obviously, all of us now, our children are adults. We can see that they are alive and they're great Samaritans to our community. They're not out here killing people, right? So we did a good job.
There's a long range there.
Almost.
Good Samaritan, murderers.
But to add all to that, like being 16, I was in survival mode. Just like our parents, they had the tools and resources that they had. They did the best that they can at their point. Going back to what you said, I agree 100% that we're responsible now for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are we going to change that trajectory of that generational trauma that everyone always talks about? So all those teen years, of course, I question looking back. But as soon as I was able to be happy and whole with myself and make a career change and do exactly what I'm happy and able to do, I was able to, like you said, pivot. Pivot and, okay, now I can be there for my son. And all those things that I wasn't able to do because I was trying to crush it in life, I can now do that in my early 20s.
Yeah, that's so good.
So we have what we have, and we do what we could do.
So good. I want to put this comment up on the screen from Latasha Featherstone. Shout out to Latasha in Oklahoma City. And it says, I agree. My children are 18 and 22, and we definitely have been correcting things I didn't understand before over the past couple of years. Our children give us grace when we aren't perfect, so they deserve to see the change in us. Our bonds are even tighter because I was able to say I was wrong. I didn't get that energy from my parents most of the time. I think there was another comment as well that came up. Yeah, from Tanya Bankston. No, go scroll back down. Right above Latasha's. That one, yeah. Tanya says, April, you are the truth. Love it. It is freeing. My son is 35, and honestly, I thought I messed up being so masculine, but God showed up in the deficit. I love that so much. And I think that's, and I'm so, and learning to be gracious with yourself. It's like, because for a long time, we all did do the best we could, and we have to be honest with ourselves now and ask, where can we be better? And that's what the Feminine and Rich brand is about. It's about where can we improve and how can we be better? Kelly, did you want to comment on that?
I would say my dad used to always say his job as a parent was just so that I could have one step up to him. He was like, if I've done that right, I just want to do one step better than you. And so they were constantly, even in my late 20s and 30s, they were still trying to parent me, right? Like, what can we do better? So I think it's natural, to the lady who made that comment, it is natural as a parent to question, did I do enough? Did I say enough? Did I show enough? So that's all I really wanted to say to you is, yes, it is natural for us all to feel like we didn't get it right. Even when they're bang up kids, like they are exceptional kids, and we're still like, well, but I probably should have done that. They could have been this, right? I just think it's natural. So just go with that flow. That you're not alone on that.
And you know what I love about that too? Like, I think even just asking the question instead of being so in your ego that you're just because you're a parent that you have to be right. Just asking the question, am I?
Right.
Like, is this the best job? Are my kids gonna be in therapy because of me? Yeah. Sorry in advance. You know,
Win some, you lose some.
it's like, and so I think, we having these types of dialogues are super important. Thank you all for your questions. That was so fantastic. We're about to wrap up, and I just want to, before we even go, I just want to say that this embracing and embodying the feminine has been just the best development of my life, honestly. I don't know. I think I would have been stroked out and bankrupt and just unhappy had I not in 2020 and in 2019 just started the process of making myself my own project and looking at how I was loving, how I was parenting, how I was living. And even though I was successful by the world's terms, it's like, oh, April, you've made millions of dollars and you've done this and that. I'm like, oh, yeah. And my fucking daughter is not talking to me and I haven't seen my granddaughter in 4 weeks. That's not success. That was not success. And we have to look at our life and really be honest about shit that we might not want to be honest about, because that's where you can really start to enrich your life. You can become a better human being, right? We don't have to know it all the time. And making progress is a part of growth. It's a part of living. We are living organisms. We should be growing from the inside out. It should not just be, this is who I am and that's all there is. No, there is more to you, and I really, truly believe that. In closing, any parting words from our panel? And I want to make sure that I say thank you. Shout out again. Jess, come on the camera. Come around here just so y'all know what's happening. Before we get our final statements from our guests, I want to say thank you to Jess. Jess has been working on the Feminine and Rich brand behind the scenes for 6 months. You can follow Feminine and Rich on TikTok, and she's been doing all the things. You want to say anything? How do you feel? Because this was her idea, actually. When we talked about how we were going to launch, she was like, well, let's do it at your house. Let's do this and that. So we did it. We had a brunch, and we ate before we went live today. How has it been working on all these projects behind the scenes?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I'm going to hug you.
You can hug me. Don't make me cry, though. I want to keep these lashes for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cry either. Okay. So we just going, ooh, all right. This has been an amazing journey. So if anyone knows or doesn't know, I have 0 business experience. Yeah. And launching this business has been very eye-opening. And just being under your wing has been absolutely amazing. Just learning everything on this side of the spectrum, because what I was taught and how I grew up, I was on a totally different side of the spectrum. So just broadening my horizon. I'm a learner by nature. So this has been truly enriching for myself. And that's a part of the brand, right? Yeah. Enrichment. So I'm so appreciative of this experience and continuing on.
Yeah, because now it really starts.
Yes. Yeah. The meat and potatoes are coming, y'all. Yeah.
So cute. Look at that.
Right?
She does.
Gorgeous.
Thank you so much, Jess.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback off that too.
Yeah.
Thank you, April, for being such an amazing example for all of us and really encouraging us to grow and become the best women that we possibly can. So thank you to you, and thanks for having us.
Yes, this was important. This was really important.
Yeah.
So parting words, what do you want to say? And thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions here. Like, I think, oh, shit, sorry, Mike. I think it was important to me that when you see Feminine and Rich, that you see the world. And that you understand that we value all humans. We value men. We value women. We value women from other places, from other backgrounds. And that this is a universal conversation. Parting words from our guests.
Thank you. I'm going to piggyback off of that. thank you, April, for inviting me into this amazing space and having the opportunity to share from a male point of view. And so it really means a lot. I believe that it was easy for me to do so because my masculinity is not in danger because of your femininity, right?
Can I run around the room, please?
So-
okay, I just want to do a twerk dance. Thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And when you hear the fighting back and forth, it's the intimidation or the lack, me not feeling secure in who I am that creates, I need to tell you who you need to be so that I can be secure in me.
Ooh,
And
child.
that's not the case. I'm very secure in my masculinity, which means I can embrace your femininity and encourage your femininity without having an agenda. And so probably I was raised by a single mom who, she intimidated everything, my masculinity, everything about me in her little size. So again, I just thank you for this opportunity, and it opens doors for.
Listen, when we share your clips around the world, that's going to be the damn headline. Okay? We love that.
Yeah, and this work isn't just like it would be nice to have, it's a must have. If you
Yes.
want a richness in your life, you have to learn about your self-worth and your value and your vulnerability. It's your superpower, and it's your way to success in life.
Yes.
And just to piggy off of that, like, that's happiness.
Yeah,
That's
truly.
when you're truly happy. I'm
Yeah.
just so honored to be here. Through all my mentors in life, I'm just lucky to have even be through this journey at the age of 36 and younger,
Yeah.
because I know that people sometimes die and never go through this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think this is important. So if anybody is looking to be part of Feminine and Rich, I think this is a place and the perfect person leading us.
Oh, thank you.
And it's just an honor to be here. Someone gave me the greatest compliment after an event you and I did together, and they said, you embody some of your energy is similar to April's. And I'm like, no. She is a badass. No. They're like, no, you embody some of that energy.
Yes,
And
girl.
I've been owning it. And I'm like, yes, I do.
You do.
I do.
You actually do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're a whole firecracker, girl.
Shout out to the firecracker.
Okay.
Okay. This conversation is necessary, and you're the one to do it. So agree with everybody else. Thank you for the invitation, but thank you mostly for sharing that. If anybody out there, look, I just want to say your desires are valid.
Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking is valid. Whatever you are trying to become is valid. And don't shortchange yourself by not doing it.
Don't shortchange yourself. Oh my God. I want to say, first of all, thank you to all of our viewers on Facebook. Thanks for those of you who jumped on Instagram real quick, because we're really streaming on Facebook. Shout out to Scott behind the scenes doing all the things over there. Thank you. I want you to know on February the 5th, I will be teaching the Feminine and Rich Code. There is a link. Oh, sorry, y'all. There is a link inside the chat there. Also, if you're on Instagram, when you go to my link tree, you'll be able to sign up for that today. And it's totally free. You can tune in and join me on February the 5th in the evening. I think it's 5 p.m. Pacific. I will be teaching the Feminine and Rich Code. Make sure that you share that with 5 of your best girlfriends or your nieces, your sister, because we all want to be on this journey to enriching every area of our life. And so I just want to say thank you to my collective audience all over the place. And I will see you on the 5th. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye for now.